When you have a feeling, you think, I've got a feeling, I just drink it, Netflix it, shop it, eat it, drug it. It will just regroup and come back stronger and stronger. You got to feel your feeling that it no longer requires to be felt. "70% of people going to the emergency room, 2/3 of all people going to their doctor have problems that are psychosomatic. Psychosomatic means the pain is real. If I have a psychosomatic migraine or a psychosomatic tremor, it's real, but my mind is causing it, not a diseased organ. And doctors will say, 70% of people in the ER, they can't fix them because it's not a diseased organ. It's diseased thinking. We're not machines that are broken that need fixing. We have thoughts that need fixing, and medicine isn't really designed to do that. I train many doctors in RTT. I've trained a lot of psychiatrists. I've trained surgeons. They all say, we see this all the time, but we don't know how to fix it. So we have bulimics coming in, anorexics, and we force feed them and we weigh them. We say, okay, you can't have your phone till you gain 5 pounds. And we know that they're going to leave, starve, come back. It's a revolving door because we're treating the symptom and not the cause. You're depressed, let me give you some pills. One of my clients said, I was so depressed I couldn't have sex with my husband. They gave me medication. I still can't have sex with him. I don't care now because I'm numb. That's not good. So I'm about what I call what lies beneath. I always say to somebody, look, the presenting problem, it's not even the problem. You got to look for what lies beneath. We train all of our students. We've trained like 3,000 to look for what is going on underneath. And if you treat the root, it will never come back. But you can't treat symptoms. And that's why, medicine, if you break your leg, medicine's a wonderful thing. If you want to deliver a baby, it's a wonderful thing. But if you have depression or panic attacks or anxiety, you can't really medicate that because you're medicating feelings, and feelings are the most real thing you have, and they're trying to tell you something. When you have a feeling, you think, I've got a feeling, I just drink it, Netflix it, shop it, eat it, drug it. It will just regroup and come back stronger and stronger. You got to feel your feeling that it no longer requires to be felt. And when you understand what the feeling is telling you, then it's a whole different world. The thing with RTT is that we do something called role, function, purpose. And I ask people in hypnosis, I want you to tell me the role of the depression. They'll say, oh, I don't have to go to work. What's the role of your illness? And even children of 5, I worked with a little kid who had eczema everywhere. And I said, darling, this is a funny question, I know, but you're really smart and you're going to answer it for me. Because you must set the client up for success. I always say to my clients, you're so clever, you're going to get this. You're so smart, you're going to know this immediately. I'm talking to their mind. I'm bypassing their conscious. I'm talking to the subconscious, which goes, yeah, okay. And then I said to this little kid, so if eczema was your friend, how would it help you? And he said, well, every night I stand like that. Mummy puts cream and wet bandage on me. She doesn't put any cream on that baby. And at 5, he understood that he'd seen Mummy massage the baby. And he said, Mummy, I want that. She goes, don't be silly, you're a big boy. You don't need that. But Mummy, I want you to massage me. No, I'm busy. You had a massage when you were a baby. Now you're a big boy. And of course, he said it to his mind, I want the massage. I want that. And the mind's job is to do anything and everything to give that kid what he asked for. Now he's got eczema. He's getting cream put on him every night. And if only doctors could say to people, and one day they will, before I give you this prescription, can I just ask you, silly question, but if your illness had a role or a function or an intention, let's play a game. What could it be? And they'll tell you, well, nobody looks at me because I'm big. I could have been a successful actress, but, I got really heavy and then I lost the part. But then I never had to cope with the fact that I might not have been good enough. I coulda, woulda, shoulda. But then I got the depression. I worked with a girl who had such chronic migraine. She had 40 injections in her head every month. When I talked to her, she said, my dad wants me to be a barrister. I don't want to do that. And he's told me all my life, you're going to take over the family firm. But when I got the headaches, he went, oh, you could never be a barrister now. You'd be lucky if you could be a waitress. And then she was free. And then when I fixed the headache, she became a DJ, what she'd always wanted to be. Uh-huh. But the headaches had a role. She couldn't say to her dad, I don't want this, because he wanted it for us so much. Mm-hmm. So often people don't understand that when they were 4, 3, 2, 7, they asked for the illness, not consciously, please make me ill, but it's like saying I need attention. Or I need no attention. I need to not be seen. And you know, I worked with this girl who had this terrible skin condition. She used to burn if she went out in daylight, and you can imagine what her life was. She was a coach because she worked from home on a computer. And when I went back, she said that she got really bullied at school. And her mum went, look, I can't help you. We have no dad. I'm a single parent. You got to go to school. You're going to deal with it. I can't help you. Just get on with it. And she said, I thought a thought. I want to be at home forever. And every time she got bullied, she'd think, I just want to be at home and never leave. And then she got this skin condition where she couldn't leave the house. Mm-hmm. And that's how the mind is. If you say, I want to never leave the house, I want to stay at home, when you're 8, that sounds thrilling. Be at home with the TV and ice cream. I don't have to go to school. Those kids are horrible to me. But the mind can't later switch that off. So the mind created this burning skin. She couldn't leave the house. Mm-hmm. And it was very useful. When she was 42, she still had it. And it was not useful at all. And when they go back, they have what I call the aha moment. Oh my God, of course. When I was 6, I unconsciously wanted this. Wow. When I was 15, I said, if I get pregnant, my dad will kill me. It will ruin my life. And now I'm 35 and I can't get pregnant. Because I said to my mind, it would be the end of the world. It would be a nightmare. My dad will kill me if I get pregnant. And I never went back and undid that. And that's what we do. We go back and we unpick stuff and we undo it. We make sense of it. And then we change the beginning and the ending.
What are your thoughts on the mind-body connection? Because I believe that if you do anything and it's stressful and you hate it and you're forcing yourself not to eat and feeling really miserable and forcing yourself to exercise and hating it, how do you think that plays out? What I'm asking you is like the mind-body connection. Do you think that our thoughts play a part in how we age?
Oh, 100%. There's 2 types of stress you can put on the body, and they're very different. There's the physical stress, which is exercise and being hungry, cold, hot, these kind of perceived adversities that makes the body fight against aging and diseases. But mental stress is different. It's more, it's psychological. But again, if you have too much of it, just like any physical stress, it will be bad for you. But a little bit is okay. Having a little bit of agency and excitement, I think that that's actually necessary for a long life, have some purpose. Mm-hmm. But if you go overboard and you're either depressed or under too much stress and your heart is beating faster, what you'll end up doing is secreting a variety of inflammatory molecules into your body. Cortisol is the main one that we know about. And you want to keep your stress levels low. So meditation, calming thoughts, breathing. I practice all of those to make sure that my very stressful job doesn't get the better of me.
So if you're like doing all of this, I had an example. I was in LA a few months ago. My house got flooded I try really hard to be super calm. I don't want any thought, but I just found for dealing with builders and having my whole house collapsing was a little stressful. And I was thinking, I cannot have this cortisol going through my body. And it was like a 9-month job. And I was singing this song, everything's going to be all right. But if with the best of intentions something happens, something drama goes on and it is super stressful, how would you advise someone to cope with that? I mean, I know meditating is great, but let's imagine you're in your house and it's flooded and you've got a building crew on every floor and they're all saying, oh, he broke that, it wasn't me, and I didn't do that, and we can't fix that. And you can't suddenly rush off and meditate. What would you advise people to do when it's the same thing? You've got 3 kids, one's sick, the dog's thrown up on the carpet, the toilet's leaking. In everyday life, when we can't always light a candle and be very zen, Is there anything you can advise people to do to get out of being in that high stress state, which we know is incredibly aging?
Oh, for sure. I used to be extremely stressed every day of my life. I thought I was going to have a heart attack when I was in my 20s and 30s. During my 30s, we had 3 kids, and that's stressful as well.
I bet.
So what I'm saying by using myself as an example is you can overcome that natural fear of things getting out of control. And these days, I'm helping run many companies, running a lab at Harvard. I've got 3 kids. I've just moved house. Things go wrong. Here's what I do. I remember the worst things that happened in my life. And it's actually helpful if you've experienced adversity in your life. Young people don't have that to turn to as much. But I think of the moment when my mother died in front of me, and it was not an easy way out for her. It was quite painful. And I think that's the worst that life can get. Everything else is easy. And so when I come home every day and people say, and my kids say, how was your day? My reaction literally is, nobody died. It's a great day. I'm alive. It's a great day. And so that's how I get through it. I just count every day as a blessing that I'm still here and healthy.
I sing, I find these songs like Bob Marley, Every Little Thing is Going to Be All Right, or there's one by East 17 called All Right, It's Really All Right. And I find singing a song with positive lyrics like Don't Worry, Be Happy, or that Pharrell song, it is actually really good for me because it tricks your mind to thinking, oh, you're happy, you got a flood, the ceilings collapse, but you're singing, so I guess you're happy. And it's often why bomb disposal experts will whistle, or Marines will sing as they run and do endurance training, because it really tells your mind you're singing. I guess you're just happy no matter what. And it's a really good thing to do, to find a song, maybe I'm having the time of my life, when you're really not. What about sex? Because I've always believed that having great orgasms is incredibly anti-aging, because most animals don't mate for anything other than to recreate. So I think your mind, when you're having a lot of sex, believes that you must be young because that's what young people do. They mate in order to pass on their genes. And I've studied a lot of people in blue zones. For those who don't know it, you obviously know it. It's where people naturally seem to live a long life. And people who live to 100 often say that they had a lot of sex, even in their 70s. So talk about that and how having an active sex, and particularly for women being orgasmic, can slow down aging.
Well, it's tough for a lot of women and some men that they lose interest in sex towards the latter half of their life. But clearly, moving is important. I don't know about orgasms being important for aging. I think someone should study that, or maybe you know more than I do. But there's no question that sex gets your breathing rate up, your heart rate up, and could be part of a healthy lifestyle. It's not too unenjoyable either. So I think that's a good tip. The problem I find talking to clients of mine and friends is that for a lot of people, whether they're in a bad relationship or just hormonally deficient, it's not as interesting anymore.
Well, I think you're right. And of course, if we're doing what you say, if we're eating less and looking after our bodies and working out and feeling younger, the minute you feel it, you think, well, I feel like I could have sex again because now I feel young and vibrant. It's that thing about, well, I'm lying on the sofa eating Pringles, I haven't worked out, and I feel really kind of blah. And the last thing I want to do is take off my clothes, show some of my body and have sex. And they don't look so hot either. So I'm not interested. But I think it all comes together when you do young activities and you feel young. I think it helps you to maintain a sex life. And of course, women, especially when you orgasm, you make natural killer cells that do slow down aging. And you make hormones that fight depression. So I think it's very important, if you can, to keep having sex, because for women, much more so than men, it has an anti-aging effect, because your mind goes, hey, I don't care how old you are, you're clearly making a baby here. And if you're making a baby, I'm going to have to keep you healthy enough to raise that baby, at least until it's old enough to take care of itself. So it's quite interesting, sex, because your mind doesn't just want you to make a baby, it wants you to raise it. It's no point in making it and leaving it on its own. So we are wired to reproduce ourselves, but also to raise that baby. What are your 3 top tips for mastering your mind?
All right. So what I do to do what I do, which is take on one of the hardest problems ever faced by humanity, is I wake up every day realizing it's a gift that I have my health and my energy and my friends and my family. So I jump out of bed, I start playing loud music, I'm dancing around, I'm super happy, even if the day is going to be stressful. The second thing I do is I surround myself with positive people. I get texts from people pretty much every morning saying, today, I hope it's going to be, you're going to crush it today. It's going to be fantastic. And I send them the same motivation. So it's a wonderful world to be in. And then the third thing that I would say keeps me going is I remember the bad times in life and realize that the little things that are bad today really don't matter. And if I'm not going to remember them next week, I'm not going to worry about them so much. In fact, most of the things you go through, you'll forget about a year from now. And so keep the stress down, get good sleep, surround yourself with great people, and just be positive that you're around, and try to stick around for longer.
And if you had a song, because I know you said you get up and you love music, what is a song that would really get you going and also have your message in it?
Wow. All right. Okay. Off the top of my head, there are a bunch. I listen to hundreds of songs every day. There are a lot, I actually listen to a lot of female artists that my children make a lot of fun of me for being.
Yeah, because I keep too young.
But okay, so I think Katrina and the Waves, Walking on Sunshine, would exemplify how I go through my life. Mm-hmm. It's just, don't take life too seriously, bound around, be happy, and spread that to all of the people around you.
When we begin to develop a meditation practice, we actually learn how to self-soothe. We learn how to calm an anxious mind and calm our nervous system. And so when we're in a less activated place, it's much easier to connect to that source within ourselves, that loving voice within us.
Why do you think we are so prone to stress and burnout and exhaustion? Obviously we need meditation and breath work or hypnosis or anything that you can do to be calm and get into state. But why do you think we get into the state that makes us need to get into this better state? Why do you think we're so prone to stress, to burnout, to exhaustion, to always doing?
I think that all the doing is a way of avoiding feeling. It's a form of false protection against difficult, exiled, very painful parts that we have not wanted to allow ourselves to face. So we do, so we don't have to feel. And when we start to face those deeper wounds and we start to unpack them through podcasts like this and therapeutic practices and books and healers and the support that is always available to us, when we start to unpack it and heal it, then we can start to do less and attract more, as we started off with.
Yeah, it's that thing about I'm just so busy doing that I never get a chance to feel. And I say that to my clients, look, your feelings are the most real thing you have. You got to feel a feeling until it no longer requires to be felt. You can't Netflix it or eat it or drink it or medicate it or shop it. You can try, but the feeling just regroups and comes back. And it is interesting that society is so busy doing. I mean, I meet people and they have their television on all the time, and because they don't want to be alone with their thoughts, because they don't like their thoughts, and they haven't learned that if you don't like your thoughts, you can change them because your thoughts are yours to change. So you said something I really liked. You said choose again, that your second tip to master your mind would be choose again. So I'd love to conclude this talk. I'll talk to you all day. I'd love to conclude, because that, even the expression choose again is very beautiful. Tell me what that means to you and what that should mean to the audience, choose again.
I actually have a method called the Choose Again method, which is in my book, Super Attractor. It's designed to help you really proactively reach for a better thought. So the first step is to notice the negative thought and how it makes you feel. The second step is to forgive yourself for having that thought. Because often when we have a thought that we keep thinking, Abraham Hicks says it beautifully, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So if you have that thought on repeat, you start to believe it's who you are. But when you forgive yourself for having that thought, you no longer have to see it as who you are. You can say, oh, that's actually just a thought I'm thinking. It's not me.
Yeah.
So that's that step. Second step, forgive yourself. Oh, there it is again, that funky thought. Okay. And then the third step is to choose the next best feeling thought, to choose again. And so for instance, if the thought is, I'm in debt, I'm broke, you can notice how it makes you feel. Notice the thought, forgive yourself for having the thought. It's a thought I keep thinking. And then choosing again. Well, I have great resources now with the internet. There are so many creative possibilities. I have that free training I found online about manifesting abundance. I'm not afraid to work hard. I've got a resume that I can send out. And you just reach and reach and reach and reach. And before you know it, you're no longer in despair and self-deprecation. And you're now in this different mindset that has possibility. And so you have the power to choose again.
So why do you think people feel that they're not enough? I mean, my whole flagship program is, and I created the I'm Enough movement because I saw over 30 years that almost all my clients, whether they were billionaires who had everything or somebody who was just having a little startup bakery, they all had the same belief, I'm not enough. So in your own experience, you've had a very different life to mine, but where do you think that comes from, the not enoughness?
All of that is developed as early childhood experience. It's the without the proper attachment bonds, without the proper methods for experiencing our emotions and processing them fully, and being able to really care for ourselves when we aren't being cared for. We don't have that. That's not the playbook that most parents were handed. And so children, unfortunately, pick up a lot of unconscious shame and a lot of unconscious beliefs, whether they've had the most beautiful childhood or not. And those belief systems can become core wounds that can dictate the way that we are throughout our life. But the beautiful thing is that anyone listening to this podcast right now is clearly on a path of personal growth and development. And through the practices of spiritual practice, through the practices of therapeutic practices, self-help books like the ones that we've written and shared, and therapeutic books like yours, these types of practices not only have the power to change us from a spiritual perspective and change and undo those beliefs, but they also change our brain because of neuroplasticity, because of our the brain's ability to change. So we may have developed these belief systems, they may be strong, but as anyone who is on a spiritual and personal growth path, our work is to be in the devotional commitment of undoing those belief systems and reclaiming that we are good enough.
Maybe my only challenge, but even then it's not a challenge, is I would say half the medical profession love what I do and really go for it and go, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm using it with my own patients. And the other half go, this is all silly. You know, illness is caused by disease, that you can't talk yourself better. Talking to yourself doesn't make any difference. You can't possibly give birth just using positive affirmations. It's like if you had cancer and you had a very good oncologist who might go, look, you know, the way you think, the way you eat, the way you act, the way you rest can all affect. And they'll go, nope, you got cancer, chemotherapy, there's nothing else that will work. And all that stuff is hocus pocus. Right. So that is a challenge, but it's not so much, because I find so many doctors love what I do and go, wow, you know, all these illnesses are autoimmune illnesses. Many years ago, there was a wonderful psychiatrist in London called Dr. Maudsley, and he had a great expression, it's always been my favorite, and it says, the feeling that cannot find its expression in tears may cause other organs to weep. So he knew 100 years ago.
That's beautiful.
So beautiful and so true.
The feeling that
cannot find its expression in tears will cause other organs to weep. So he's sort of saying, if you don't feel the feeling,
Your
body's going to
eventually
feel it. If you don't open your mouth and say, you hurt me, don't be surprised if you get a screaming. I've got this screaming headache. I've got this angry red rash. I've got this thumping pain. And by the words they're using, angry, screaming, they're saying, I have rage that can't come out.
I'm not expressing it, but it's expressed through my body.
Yeah, because the body is very clever at finding something. I worked with someone who couldn't walk, and all she was, I can't stand that. I can't stand my ex. I can't stand my life. I can't stand my kids. And you can't stand up. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, wow.
She had sort of phantom leg pains because she couldn't stand anything. Believe me, it's also, well, what makes me sick is my sister-in-law. Oh, I'm so sick of her. She just makes me sick. I vomit in my mouth every time I hear her voice, and then they wonder why they're bulimic.
Right.
Because our words really affect our reality, partly because, and it's such an easy thing to say, every word you say is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche are working to make your reality. So we make our thoughts, and our thoughts make us. Then we go out into the world and we justify our thoughts every day. But our words are a blueprint, and when you know that, you think, well, I better pay attention to that blueprint. I better not say this kid is killing me. My job is making me want to die. I'm so stressed out by what? The queue in Hughes Market. Well, go to Zimbabwe where there is no Hughes Market, and there is no queue, and there's no money to buy food anyway. Then you can say you're stressed, because your problem, the queue in Erewhon and the bill, is someone else's fantasy dream come true. This freeway is killing you. You have a car. You have a look at people on 4 buses. I used to take my daughter to school, and I remember one day thinking that, oh my God, this commute is hell. And I saw someone at a bus and thought, how lucky I'm in my car. I've got the heating. I've got a cup of tea. I've got an hour to listen to something. I can talk to my kid. I keep saying I want an hour to myself. Well, here it is. And I learned to stop doing that. But when you say, how are you? Oh, nightmare. It is torture. What? The traffic. Yeah, the traffic, the queue. People keep ringing me, the phone ringing. It's torture. Well, maybe if it didn't ring, that might be worse. Some of my clients or models will say, my life is hell because people look at me. It's like, really? Well, one day they won't, and then you might miss it. Yeah, but I get on a plane and guys hit on me. It's a nightmare. Well, put on a baseball hat and glasses, read a book. Over yourself, then they'll leave you alone. But that's not a nightmare, it's just mildly inconvenient. It's not hell.
Right.
It's not killing you, but we use these incredible words. This is torture, this is killing me, this is a disaster. What is? Well, I went to the bathroom and I forgot to pause my movie. Well, that's not a disaster. But when you use those words, because your mind can't differentiate, just to feel like it really is a disaster.
The flip side of this, the beautiful part, if we, when we understand and appreciate that our thoughts become reality,
our things,
we can create the life of our dreams as well.
Absolutely.
We can start to manifest our thoughts by visualizing, by telling ourselves what we want, who we want to become, and taking those actions toward it. We can manifest our dreams.
You really can. You can stop being ill. You can change the shape of your body. You can change your digestion. You can have physical things. You can change the way you interact with your kids. So here's a good example. My kid is a nightmare. Change that to my child is age appropriate.
There you go.
This builder's going to go, oh my God, that's a disaster. But a good builder will go, it's a challenge. When you said talking to girls is terrifying, you just change that to it's challenging, but hey, there's hundreds of girls out there. It's a numbers game. One will say yes.
Some will say hi,
And even if they say no, the only risk in life is not to take the risk. That's the risk. If you don't take, when you take the risk and it goes wrong, you learn something.
It gives you feedback for how to show up differently the next time. My girlfriend's a doctor of physical therapy, and when she works on people, she would agree with everything you're saying, because people's bodies are so tight, not because of something they tore or something sore, but it's because they're holding on to something emotionally. And she says once they start to talk, their bodies relax and the pain goes away.
I know
all the
that to
pain
be
where
true.
they can't lift their shoulder, they can't turn their neck, once they let it out their feelings about their relationship or their insecurities or whatever it may be, that's when they have a pain-free body.
Because the body keeps score. The body holds on to pain and stress and tension and grief. And we carry around all this stuff, and yet we really don't have to if just more people knew, even to say I'm enough every day.
And to say, another of my favorite things is I'm choosing this and I'm choosing to feel great. I'm choosing to work on my website all weekend. I'm choosing to go to the gym. I don't love it, but I love having a six-pack. I'm choosing to say no to Krispy Kreme donuts and yes to apples.
Love Krispy Kremes.
Do you?
I could eat 12 of them right now. Oh, they're so good. But I choose to eat healthy.
Yeah, and if you say, I'm choosing to do this and choosing to feel great about it, your mind has a very clear image. The way you feel about everything is down to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. There's nothing else. So if you choose to run, going, I'm running, so I'm raising money for charity, so I'm going to complete this run, even though my feet hurt, my knee hurts because I'm going to raise money. But you could run going, oh, I hate this. I could be at home watching Netflix, I haven't eaten, and now my knee hurts, and then you'll have to stop. So when you keep saying, I'm choosing
because,
it. Yeah. So if you're an Olympic athlete, you would choose to get up at 4 a.m. and train. If you are a diabetic, you choose to put a needle in your arm. If you wear lenses, you choose to jab your finger in your eye. But you don't go, oh, I hate it. I can't accept it and I can't change it. And when you say, I'm choosing to study, to work on, to go and talk to this girl I really like, or to put good food in my body, and I'm choosing to feel great about that too, there is no resistance. When you go, I want donuts and I can't have them, I've got to eat this freaking rabbit food, what your mind does is it increases the desire for donuts, because you said, I want donuts, but I can't have them. I want pizza, I'm eating kale.
I can't have these, but I choose to do this because
I can eat pizza every day. When I'm 95, I'm going to knock myself out with pizza. But right now, I actually want to look really good in my clothes, maybe out of them too. So I'll save the pizza when I'm 80, because that door is probably shut then anyway. Then you can have loads of pizza.
Every day.
But you have to reason with your mind and negotiate, and your mind will always do what it thinks you want. That's its job. And if you could only tell your mind what you want using relevant, up-to-the-minute words, you'll get exactly what you want.
What do you struggle with telling your mind? Is there anything that you...
It took me a long time to tell my mind not to eat sugar. I still look at it and go, it looks so nice.
That's me.
But I still look at candy. The other day I was really tired, and I went into a shop to get coffee, and they had jars of jellies, and I thought I could eat all of those.
All of it?
But I'm choosing not to, and I just had the coffee. So working out, we're on a schedule, sometimes just finding the time to go to the gym or do yoga and making the time. Yeah, that's probably the only two, really eating healthy food all the time, even on a plane, even sometimes where there is no healthy food, then you've got to wait, and choosing to make myself exercise when I don't want to. But other than that, nothing really, because I couldn't do what I do unless I was really good at dialoguing with my mind. Is my best friend. It's the best PA I've ever had, and it does what I want because I give it clear instructions.
What do you say yourself on a daily basis? Is there like a process in the morning, afternoon, and night, or what would it be like? Actually,
when I wake up, the first thing I would say is I love my life. I love my linen, and I love my cup of tea. I always wake up going, I love my life. And then when I go, I love this tea. I love the coffee. I love the shower gel in my shower. Because I really believe that if you can make your mind get excited by little things, then big things every day is like Christmas. And I think when you wake up, you should go, oh, what have I got today? Oh, a world of stress. I've got this. So you should always wake up and go, I love my life. I'm alive in a free country. But I think it's important for people to understand that it isn't what you do. It's a bit like people who say, I've done yoga every day and now it's just my soul. Like Meghan Markle said that yoga is in my soul. I don't do yoga. Yoga is part of my life. It's like you don't say, I walk my dog. If you've had a dog for 20 years, you just get up, pick up the lead, and it's who you are, not what you do. And so for me, it really isn't what I do because it's so a part of me, and I like it. And so I'm quite lucky that I'm pretty happy and positive. But I really do love my life, and that's a good thing.
Was there ever something in the last 10 years that questioned everything that you've done, or that questioned your ability to say, I love my life,
Well, I did get very sick like a year ago, and I thought, wow, how could that happen? I'm so happy and positive and eat well, so I was a bit surprised when I got sick. But then
how did you get through that?
The same thing, the thinking, the belief. I decided I'd focus on massive healing. I kept telling my body that it was a cancer-fighting machine. I was making all these NK killer cells. And I did actually go home the next day. I was on stage a week later, and my doctor was like, wow, you become the poster girl for just going on with your life. And now I look at one particular YouTube and think that's so bizarre. I had like major surgery just a week before that, and you'd never know. But again, it's the belief. I decided I do wellness. I said to the hospital, I need to go home. I got into my own bed. I watched Ray Donovan. I thought, this is it. I'm doing wellness here. I'm not going to lie in that bed where they keep trying to give you pills. Right. And I didn't feel any pain at all because I just kept telling my body to heal itself. And then later I thought, maybe it's good I got that because I can help other people. And I go, look, you know, life throws stuff at you, but you get to choose how to deal with it. Yeah. And even then, I noticed that I was very positive because I had actually got womb cancer. I thought, well, a stroke of luck to get womb cancer. I don't need a womb. It's done its job. I've had a great kid. I talked to my womb and said, thanks for giving me this great kid, but now I've got to get rid of you because I've got to stay here and raise this great kid. Wow. And I thought, that's good. I mean, imagine if you get brain cancer or bone cancer. I felt very lucky. It was a disposable organ. They'd done a great job. I didn't need it. And so I think once you become like that, it's just who you are. So I never had, oh my God, I'm going to die. Because I thought, no, I'm not going anywhere. Mm-hmm.
It's all perspective, yeah.
It is all perspective. I mean, I still, people would say to me, but I thought you were so healthy. How could you get that? As it turns out, I have that same gene that Angelina Jolie has. But then, of course, Bruce Lipton would tell you can turn off a gene. You can mentally remove that gene. So even with adversity, because it's quite good in a way, because people think, oh, your life's you're like Pollyanna, just tripping along, having a wonderful life. That's not true. I've still had adversity. But your mind will always kick in when it's well trained. You go, this is a blip. Just a blip, just carry on. And so you got to train your mind like you train a horse. I say your mind's like a Ferrari. And if you've never driven a Ferrari, it's going to go all over the place. But if you have Ferrari driving lessons, you're going to run that Ferrari. The Ferrari should not be running you. If you get on a horse, you've never ridden it, it's going to go everywhere. But if you have some horse riding skills, you say go there, and it goes. So I see my mind like a horse, and I am the rider, but I'm going to tell my mind where to go, and it's going to do it. Check out my next video here. Anyone notice that as that day comes around, they're sick? Because here's how the mind works. You say, oh my God, I volunteered to chair that meeting. I must have been out of my mind. I'd die if I've got to go on stage. I don't want to do that. And your brain's like, leave that with me. Now next Wednesday.